I'm on the field bed and I'm starting the big clearing. I want to start gathering up all this spent foliage, and especially anything that the storm Amy really pushed over. And I suppose this pumpkin patch and the sunflowers area, this is one area that has gotten a lot of battering from previous storms already. So I really want to get this job done while everything is still dry, before the rains start to turn all this browned material quite mushy and everything starts to sort of decompose down even more. And I've started with the sunflowers now. The heads are spent and I can see the finches have been helping themselves to the seed heads already. And I'm literally just only at the moment taking off the seed heads. If they're a little bit flowering, if they're not, I'll gather them up and see what can be left for the wildlife. And I doubt that I'd gather any seeds. I had plenty of seeds from sunflowers previously already. And I also want to gather up all of my pumpkins. So once I have gathered up all of the flower heads of the spent sunflowers, I'll get the stalks together as well and pile them up neatly, because I'll probably bring out the big shredder as well later on, and it can all be then shredded up straight into the big pallet compost bays. And yeah, the pumpkins and squashes, what are here, I am not going to be waiting for any optimal timing. I want to get them together because my overall list for the garden is as long as my arm. There are so many things I want to accomplish, and I think it's just coming down to the opportunities I have. So if I have an opportunity to do a job, I will do it, regardless. If I could have waited for another week or 2 weeks, because it would have been better for, let's say, for the swelling fruit, especially if they're not quite, like the stalks aren't quite brown yet. But I am not going to do that. I want to get some of these clearing jobs done while everything is dry. It's at least more achievable this way and more pleasant for the gardener as well. And to my surprise, I still keep seeing more and more of the squashes that had been hiding within the foliage. But obviously I still have the very big pumpkins to deal with as well. And I'm also really looking forward to getting the edges of this area neatly trimmed back. So I have the lawnmowers out, I have the wheelbarrow, I have my loppers and secateurs as well. And let's do a bit of clearing and get some of the growing ground back from underneath all this spent foliage. I have most of the pumpkin stems gathered up now, and I'm thinking I'll take out the cosmos from here as well, even though it still looks pretty and it's flowering. But it's grown so tall, and then it has collapsed, and it has collapsed on top of the netting onto the other sort of vegetables. What do I have here? I have cabbages here, and there's another pumpkin in that corner. So for me to even get access, I think I have to take them down. It's alright, I have more cosmos on the right at the opposite end anyway as well. But this would give me a little bit more of a breathing space. I think that was actually the right decision now, seeing how much the aerial roots holding onto the netting. It has He's really gotten a good grip of it in here. And there's another one actually inside the netting as well. Oh, what? Oh. Well, this pumpkin here is definitely the biggest I've ever grown. And that was not the plan. I don't even know what variety it is. I can't even lift it. Oh. But I'll sure be glad to get it out of this corner here. Oh, I said we could lift it. Oh, the size of it. It's huge, it's so heavy. Oh, I'd love to weigh something like that now. Oh, I'll figure out what weight it is. So if I put this one right next to the other two big ones that I knew were big because I could see them. I'll just take these stems off it. Now, is that smaller than the big one? Now, 1, 2. It looks like they're the same variety. Now this is pinker in the colour, but that is starting to get pinker, as this is still quite orange. I definitely don't know what the variety is. That is all good. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all from the same variety. And then I have a few smaller ones. This is a very like the curry onion shape, and these look like baby bears. So these baby bears and the others that I took aside, these also look like baby bears. And I had another, where did I put the other 2 small ones, 3 small ones. So one more of curry squash, for sure, you can really recognise them. Another tiny curry, and then another baby bear. And they just have not coloured up to orange yet. They have stayed green. I'd say they didn't have no puppy. Don't have a look at them like that now. Nothing appetising for you in here. They weren't exposed to sunlight as much as the big ones were. So they haven't coloured yet, but they might colour yet. Now, we made great progress yesterday, but obviously we didn't get everything done. But at least the stalks of the sunflowers and the cosmos and the pumpkins, vines, they're all cleared up and taken to the compost heap. I haven't shredded anything yet, but at least I have them there ready. And I have weeded. I weeded all this bigger area behind me. A lot of weeds, well, because it was our own homemade compost, so there was going to be weeds in there. Hello, Bubba. It's not a hot compost oh, don't sit on the sedum now. Don't sit on the sedum. I'm literally just looking at it. Yeah, Bubba. So because it's not a hot compost, there's bound to be weed seeds in them, but there's actually a lot of nettles as well. So I am just looking at the plants that I planted around this plum tree, this little fruit tree guild. So I had lupins here in front of me. Sorry, Baba, come on, go and look for your squeaky ball. Where's your squeaky ball? Come on, find it. Go on, where is it? And I had 3 lupins here, and I've taken off the most of the splent leaves and then the flower heads as well, and tidied that up. And there's a lot of tiny leaves still coming out of here. I had this big bush of comfrey, bucking 14, that again took out all of those really old and broken looking leaves, and they went straight into the compost heap. They'll be great now as an additive for the compost itself. Then I have this little sedum. Snowy, will you come out of the way? They can't see it. It's so small because it never got proper sunlight. It didn't really grow, but it's still alive, and it has a few flower heads on it as well, but it's so pale, it's tiny, but I'm sure it's going to benefit hugely now, having all this canopy opened up. And the hens have straight away come obviously here now and started to scratch around, so they've been moving the wood chips around a lot. But also the chives that I had here, they're so leggy, again, because they never got any proper sunshine. But they'll all bounce back once it's all opened up. And I can see Rudbeckias have tried to flower. I don't know if they're going to flower, but there's a lot of leaves here from the vegetable plants, and I think I'm going to also just take down a lot of the lower leaves just to open up the ground level, just to make sure that we're going to be reducing the potential fungal spore growth in these areas. I also have these cabbage leaves that I wanted to remove, but that meant I had to be able to actually open this netting up properly so I can walk around here. So I want to take away the outer leaves that have gone yellow, that are potentially harboring a lot of slugs. And again, the more they start to break down, there could be a potential mold or fungal issues here. And then the Brussels sprouts, there's a lot of leaves on the bottom level because the sprouts themselves are actually forming really well. These I'll take off as well. So just again, start increasing the airflow, especially if the weather is going to get damper again, that we have had, I suppose it's about now a week and a half of dry weather. And what I mean dry, like we still have misty days, so it's not fully like a drought type of a situation, but it's hasn't been raining the way it did throughout the summer. So I'm taking these all away. I think I will. I'll take off some of the rosettes of the green cabbages as well. There's slugs have been at them, so I know we won't eat that. There's some other small ones that are perfect. The flavour of the green cabbage, we actually ended up preferring more than the red cabbage, which we were expecting nearly to be the other way around. We thought the red is going to be sweeter, but it wasn't. And overall, yeah, the flavour of the green cabbage was nicer, but they're all gone now. There's only red cabbage left, so I'm not taking a lot of the bottom leaves off the Brussels sprouts. It's only really the ones that are probably starting to yellow or showing the signs of these fungal infections. But the sprouts have been growing very well now this season, and I can see that very soon I can start also harvesting these rosettes from the top, so that they can actually, or the plants themselves then can actually start putting all the energy in growing or ripening the sprouts that are actually on the stems already, rather than keep growing upwards. And these are going to be beautiful, like mini cabbages really. And considering that the plants are planted in these 2 rows and they're quite tight together, well, at least I can see by the spread of the leaves themselves that they're well overlapping. But removing these dead or dying leaves is going to really improve the airflow and going to keep the plants themselves healthy, which we want, because we want nice harvest of sprouts out of those. The Brussels sprouts have been tidied up now, and the whole row looks way less yellow than it used to. It looks again sort of healthy green rather than a row of plants that look like they're going to be dying back a bit. And before I can move on to the kitchen garden side, I have the metal planter behind me, which has 1 set of the carrots in it, and I'd say most of that planter has gone to flower, has gone to seed. So I do want to remove those carrots as well, and that really is a job I've been probably putting off now since August. It's just never a good time. There's never enough time to do it. But seeing it, how it's all flopping over now as well after the storms, I want to take them out and remove them, and especially if I'm going to be bringing shredder out, because those carrots now that have gone into seed, they're becoming inedible, so they'll be handy to go through the shredder as well for the compost heap. Good news with the carrot beds, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Most of the carrots are actually absolutely perfect. It was just the abundance of flowers that, because you usually get these massive roots that put out the flower stalks, as in this case it was just the opposite. It was these mostly spindly little roots that obviously didn't have any space to grow, so they bolted and put out their flower stalks. And once I had picked those out, actually most of the carrots look absolutely perfect. The only downside is that because the soil level is reducing, it's sort of composting down. Their shoulders are sort of exposed above the soil level. But I have tried to fold the foliage at least sort of over those carrots that are there, because I can't put like extra soil on top of them at the moment, just hoping that they won't be exposed to sunlight as much, and which will keep them from going green too quickly. But again, there are a lot of big size carrots in there. Last autumn I had like one of the biggest harvests of carrots from the kitchen garden planter. But yeah, there's still a couple of them that are really big roots and the flower stalks came out, and a couple of them are rotten and a couple have split, and I'm sure there'll be more like that to come out because obviously the compost was fresh, so it was all really rich, which carrots don't really like. But overall, the outcome of what has gone to seed or bolted is not as bad as I thought. Now, in the meantime, I have moved actually onto the bed next to me, which is here on the level up, the terrace up in the kitchen garden, or what I refer to the kitchen garden side. And I've started to clear up most of it. Well, one section really now is cleaned up. And this was where the storm maybe really had pushed the bean teepee over as well. I have blow-hilled climbing beans on it, and then just a lot of calendula. So I gathered all that up. I had lupins, again, some of the flower stalks just needed to be removed, borage stalks, and I also had comfrey, that the leaves that are removed, which had gone sort of over a bit, I literally just put them on the soil so that they can just compost down right into the soil as it is. I don't need to take them further into the compost heap. I already did it with the ones from the field bed. But the one thing now, what I want to finish today's sort of like clearing an area up with, is the old foliage around this apple tree, because under that apple tree there are a lot of fruit that dropped down early in the season and which weren't nice enough for us to eat, but I want to pick them up because, again, you want to avoid any kind of fungal growth. You also don't want to attract any pests like moths that might be thinking this is perfect habitat for them and overwinter in those areas, and then come spring they'll attack the plant or flowers or fresh forming fruit. So that is something I need to hack my way into it. Remove again a lot of calendula. There's, I don't know if I'm going to take out the sweet pea. There's a lot of sort of nice flowers still on that red sweet pea, but I definitely want to get to the bottom of that tree, gather up all those rotten apples that are there. Some are actually probably still absolutely fine to collect, and maybe not as a whole apple to eat, but even to cut it up, and there'll be parts of it that are perfectly edible. It's a delicious apple. It's eating apple, not cooking apple. James Grieve, I think was the name of it. So that is something I want to do before I can move on to mentally to another job. All of the apples that I've gathered up, I put them at the moment into the yellow bucket with some weeds, and I am going to not put them into my compost heap because, as I said, my compost doesn't get hot in the palette colours, so I am worried that these apples might harbour diseases that will not be killed in the composting process. So I'm going to put them away from an area where I'm ever going to collect compost from. Otherwise, it has been really productive time spent in the garden over the last 2 days now, and I've done, I suppose, about 4 hours each day, probably a bit more today. And it does take time. It does take time to follow through on the, let's say, even management of the cuttings, prunings. Now I have obviously massive heaps to shred, which I haven't done yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing it this evening. And I suppose any of these little jobs that get completed now pre-winter, they will all contribute towards the bigger end goal, and they will all make a big difference, just getting on top of the garden really. And I know I still have quite a lot of produce out here, and the field bed, I mentioned that before in the videos, that it's been such a game changer from the point of view of the amount of food it's been able to grow. And I can definitely admit there's more food there than we've been able to consume, and I could preserve a lot of it, or try to preserve it, but I don't have the time. I barely have the time to actually garden and stay on top of it at the moment with work and keeping the household running as well. But it's still really good that I can come out here and harvest fresh. And our climate is mild enough that it's going to allow me to keep doing that, hopefully even for the next month or so. But even though I didn't have a video out last week, I did do a little bit of gardening last weekend, and I just didn't do a video out of it because it was so little. I cleaned out the greenhouse. I would have had still a lot of tomato vines growing and tomatoes on them, but obviously the blight and the grey mould have been taking over some of the plants, some more than others. The cherry tomatoes are still growing strongly, but I tried to clean out as much as possible. So I harvested pretty much all of the bigger tomatoes, so the fleshy tomatoes, and then all the ripe small ones as well. But I even collected all the green tomatoes. If the plants were due to be chopped down, I gathered the greens that were decent enough size, and I'll probably make a green tomato chutney out of them. But I've been asked before, how do I preserve this kind of a surplus of tomatoes? And my favorite thing to make out of ripe tomatoes is to make tomato sauce out of it, which I will freeze. So all I do really is I chop the tomatoes up. They don't need to be small pieces at all. They go into a big roasting tray into the oven, I suppose 3/4 an hour up to an hour with spices. I usually just add salt, pepper, oregano, and a couple of cloves of garlic as well. I roast it all up, and when it's ready, it's really water. Obviously the tomatoes have let go all of their juices, and it doesn't even matter what type of tomatoes they are. There's just anything that's surplus, anything that I know we're not able to eat fresh, I will blitz it slightly up, and then I sieve through it. I do want to make it nice, clean, smooth sort of tomato sauce, so I get rid of all the skins and seeds out of that. And usually I do also sort of put it back into saucepan, and I try to thicken it a little bit, because once it just comes straight out of the oven and you blitzed it, it's a little bit watery. So I usually just let it simmer for another half an hour or so on the hob. And once it has cooled down, I place the bag flat on like a pizza tray, and I just pop that whole lot into the freezer. And once it's gone rock hard, obviously you can store it much easier than, let's say, stacked even upright. And they melt down very easy, very quickly. You could use them, especially for the quantity of what I do, these kind of quite large bags. I find them very handy in lasagnas, or obviously any pasta dishes, but it's nothing added to it. Oh, olive oil actually, when I'm roasting as well, olive oil, always olive oil. And there's nothing added to it except your own fresh produce, your own fresh tomatoes. So it's a delicious way to use up, and it's very easy and handy. I don't ever can them, we don't eat them like that, and that's really how you have to look at it, is what your family actually eats, how they like to enjoy the food. I've also started with a bit of the green roof, but that's for another day. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really happy now with the harvest of the pumpkins. No idea what I'm going to do with those big ones, because I've already made a bit of that courgette salad, and there's a lot there. But but I also always say that nothing goes into waste. We do eat all of it. The hens can always join in, and yeah, there'll be plenty there. And I'm not sure if I would even dare to use any of these homegrown pieces as Halloween decorations. I just find them so precious. So I don't usually think of, oh yeah, we'll be carving it now, because I know then the actual flesh part of it is all gone to waste. But that was that. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and hopefully we'll see you in the next time.